Alors, bonjour tout le monde. Bienvenue à ce deuxième webinaire pour leader transformationnel. Aujourd'hui, on a le grand plaisir, en fait, d'avoir deux représentants de Veolia. On a Cristian Matei, qui est Head of Transformation, qui est donc chef de la transformation à Veolia. Mais on a aussi Cataline Ivanov, qui est le lead transformation. Maintenant, je pense que Cataline, are you going to replace Cristian, or are you going to, from a head of transformation perspective?
We are together in this journey,
okay.
So nobody's replacing anybody.
Excellent. So we've got the twin now, the winning twin, with Cristian et Cataline. Vous devriez voir mon écran. Je vais donc aller à la présentation pour prendre 3-4 minutes juste pour lancer le webinaire. Après ça, je vais redonner la parole à Cristian et Cataline. So I'm going to go through a few slides in French for the benefits of the participants, and then I'll pass the puck, so we say in Canada, to Cristian and Cataline. Okay, now, like I was saying, we're quite fortunate to have I will say the architect of the major transformation at Veolia. Cristian is also a cofondateur et président d'Advanced Thinking. Il est coach, adviseur stratégique, consultant pour les équipes de direction. Ce qui est intéressant avec Cristian, an interesting point about Cristian, is that il y a un doctorat en transformation et réingénierie de l'architecture organisationnelle. It's going to be interesting to see what was the impact of that PhD on the way he approached transformation. It's one question I'll have for him eventually. Il est aussi ceinture noire, master ceinture noire de l'Académie Six Sigma d'Alstom. On a aussi Cataline Ivanov. Cataline, may I ask you maybe to just give us a short presentation who you are?
Yes, my very new job is related to business transformation in Veolia. I am from more than 10 years the CIO of Veolia in Romania, and I was the lucky participant of this project of business transformation since 2016 as an actor. You are right that Cristian was the architect on this project, and I'm very happy to enter to this project and to understand what business transformation means. So it's a new job for me.
Okay, and it's also very interesting to see a CIO posturing as a co-head, if I may say something like that, or co-lead of transformation. Maybe not surprising, but very interesting. So hope we can chat about that a bit later. Okay, right. Now, my name is Gilles Morin. I created BPM PLUS quite a few years ago, and I had one obsession at that time, is that there was no business process management expertise and resource in French in Quebec. And I decided to occupy that space. And with the help of partners in US, in Australia, in France, what I've done is to build some sort of curriculum of training. Donc, j'offre des cours au niveau de l'architecture d'affaires, la transformation et la gestion par process. Essentiellement, je suis rendu à ma 10e transformation. I have been IT manager and business manager for 20 years or so. And again, my obsession is process performance and sustainability, and how we redesign a lot of organizations who are really at the end of their useful lifespan. Donc, je dis souvent au Québec que les ministères, les départements et plusieurs organisations, leur modèle d'opération est à la fin d'un cycle de vie utile. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec ça? So, for benefit of Cristian and Cataline, I say quite often that a lot of government departments and organizations are at the end of a certain life cycle. And this is why the word transformation is on everyone's mouth in terms of we need to do something about, as we feel our operating model is not gonna keep up. De là l'idée de créer les webinaires. Okay? Les webinaires qu'on fait, qui nous permettent d'entendre des gens qui ont fait le travail. So we hear during these webinars people who did the work. And that's very important. That means there's a bit of bleeding, some scars, and a lot of smiles. So far, we had Roger Burleton, who was with us a few weeks ago. We have Roger Tregear, who's going to be with us and will talk about some amazing case in the hospital sector in Saudi Arabia. And we're going to have Michel Raquin from France, who is going to talk about two major transformations, one with a Portuguese bank and the other with a French bank in fall time. Now, just so we have a transformation, a common definition. A transformation has nothing to do with change management or implementing an IT software. It's a very complex endeavor. And in fact, a transformation is high risk, high yield. It requires that we tie a lot of knots, that we connect a lot of dots, and we approach in a systemic way how we manage the change. It often will integrate many transformations. So sometimes you need to transform how we operate. You need to transform IT. You need to transform top management. So a transformation is composed of many transformations. And it requires to be able to manage change as a portfolio. So you can see on the left, all the red indicators are going to the right in terms of organization-wide scope, number of years, high level of incertitude, very high human impacts, a lot of ambiguity, high risk, lots of cost. All the HR levers need to be realigned, and it's complex. So that's what we talk about here. I'm going to have some questions for Cristian and Kathleen, but later. I'm going to switch presentation and allow Cristian to be the presenter. And Cristian and Kathleen, I will let you interact the way you see fit. Okay. So there you go, Cristian. You should have now the screen.
Yes.
Good.
First of all, let me say thank you on behalf of Veolia for inviting us, Kathleen and myself, for inviting us here. It's a real pleasure to share with you our journey. We prepared the minutes which we have at our disposition according to Gilles' preparation. So it will be one slide showing the entire overview, the key milestones. Then we received the approval. We received the approval from Veolia to present the original slide deck, which was delivered for the competition in January 2019, when the project won the first place in the world as the best business transformation project in the world. So again, we received the approval to show you the original deck, where there are quite some figures there. And then there is another slide showing the sustainability 1 year later, the results, and then also there is a kind of movie regarding the project. So this is in short the agenda which we prepared. Let us start with the milestones. So in short, end of 2015, we received an invitation to have a meeting with the management team. And actually the meeting was planned for 1 hour. And the initial request from the management team was to run a Lean Six Sigma training in order to put some things in order. However, in 45 minutes, we discussed several things. we understood together several things, and actually we left the meeting with a decision to start a full re-engineering, full redesign, full transformation program. A few days later, at the beginning of 2016, it was the first workshop with the management team. And actually, we targeted the thinking direction of the project. Nothing special, but only the thinking direction. And the decision was, and is still in place today, to move from the functional / departmental thinking to the business process thinking. Then a few days later, the first workshop to really launch it with everybody. And actually the project was named the Strategic and Operational Reengineering Program. And then several years we worked together, and every deliverable of the project, and I dare to say that was one of the key factors in order to put the project on the right track. The agreement with the management team was that all the deliverables of the project, and in the design phase that we are considering the deliverables, the key organizational elements. Yeah, for example, the business process identification, the business process, let's say, key performance indicators, the organizational structure, the objectives settings correctly based on business processes, and so on and so on and so on. All the deliverables, the decision and the agreement was to be built together. So we worked several years in a row to build in the right, we are there to say that in the right order, the right deliverables for this type of projects. In short, the key organizational elements being considered in the right order when designing them. Then in 2017, we started, according to the plan, to present the project at the international stage in Europe in that moment. And in 2017, end of 2017, the project was named within the first 4 in Europe, together with ING, BBC, and Zalando. Then January 2018, the project, Apanova, Veolia and the project, we received an invitation to present the project at the biggest OPEX event in the world, which is happening every year, except this year didn't happen because, okay, it was the online version, yeah, which usually is happening in Orlando in Florida. We received an invite, and it was an honor to present the project with quite some feedback there. Then in September, the decision was to submit the materials which we prepared in order to enter the competition for the best business transformation project in the world. So this slide deck, I received the approval to present to you. It has everything there. Then in November 2018, the first filtering was done by the OPEX and IQPC. And we received from London the news that actually the project was selected within the top 6 in the world. And we received the invite to present and to come to the grand finale in Florida. Then it was the moment, January 2019, we went there, we presented, and the project won the first place in the world. Then 1 year later, based on another decision along the way, we wrote the book and we launched the book. So we was invited to launch the book within the same event in Orlando, and it was the atmosphere was in such way that the event was a little bit disrupted because of the launching of their book. Then in February last year, the book became the Amazon bestseller for business process reengineering. change management and project management. And also we launched the Romanian book, the Romanian version of the book. Again, there are also other things. However, this is in short. The overview of the key milestones of this story, of this organizational journey. And in May, actually last year, the United Nations decided to put the book on the list to be suggested to all managers worldwide. And a few days ago, the authors, we donated the money received based on book sales. We donated the money for some charity organizations. So in short, dear colleagues, this is the story of this project. Now let me go straight to the subject itself. So the original deck, who won the first place in the world. So this is the original deck. Allow me to go through it a little bit. As I mentioned, the key point was the agreement that each project deliverable to be designed together with the people in order to really properly manage the resistance to change, which is natural, and also to have an easy implementation. Then a little bit at the starting point from the group. What was important was to, again, that was December 2015. In January 2016, for group was important that to build for Veolia Group a down-to-earth practical methodology, business transformation methodology, and then as a result to have a future organizational model, business model, to be replicated across several countries at least. That was the objective from the group in that moment. For sure, some local objectives, yeah, for sure, and you are going to see them immediately. But at the highest level, the objective was to have a proof within Veolia Group that we can have a Veolia customized business transformation methodology to be replicated later on. That was the pilot project. Then, as I mentioned again, so this slide deck is end of 2018, yeah? And basically in that moment, we finalized phase 1, which was the design, the transformation. And in that moment, we entered slowly to the continuous improvement phase, So the transformation part, the re-engineering part, as I mentioned, there are several organizational design elements here in a specific order. For example, from stakeholder analysis, then do the prioritization on the stakeholders, then the business process architecture based on the business processes generated by the stakeholders, then the scorecard, the KPIs, or how do you want to name them? I don't know, performance management, then the organizational structure, then the risk management, then the job description, then the integrated management system, and so on. These are just the key elements. As the picture suggested, you see how it was implemented. By the project itself, it was meant to be a human capital development project. And this is what happened. So again, it was knowledge transfer, then building the deliverable. Knowledge transfer, building the deliverable. And so, and this is how we've done it, with a lot of details. And basically, again, that was end of 2018. And based on that, slowly based on that, in that moment, we started to build the continuous improvement capability. Actually, the first decision was for sure to build a structure with specific processes and then slowly to work on the culture and so on and so on. Basically, again, that was the key part of the organizational redesign and transformation. And in this moment in time, again, the award was for this part, for phase one. Designing, transforming the organization. In this moment, we are in the process of continuously implementing the continuous improvement together with the advanced technologies. And that was one of the reasons that Cătălin was named to lead both structures. In other words, it was a decision, let me call it, to stop continuous improvement to work on the left and let's say information technology to work on the right. And now Cătălin is heading both of them. The processes was rearranged, actually integrated processes, continuous improvement plus technology. Just for the first part, for the phase one, please see the results, high-level results. I will go to the detailed results immediately. So these are the results for the first year, and this is the result for the second year in euro. These are, again, this is the official deck, which was approved by finance and presented to the competition. Then, speaking about the impact, again, the key point was to move from this functional thinking and departmental thinking. In other words, every N-1 department, let's say leading in quotation marks, different fragments of different business processes, to business process thinking, to identifying and then for sure designing, balancing resources and so on, but more important, allocating the full responsibility of business process to N-1 structures. This is the key movement in a business process management correctly implemented in our view. Why that? Because the company primarily should manage business processes, not fragments. And that itself has a lot of implications in how to redesign the entire organizational architecture. And basically, that was the thinking, as I mentioned. So this total shift in thinking led to a total shift in practice with a lot of implications. Linear processes, vertically, but especially horizontally integrated KPIs, especially horizontally, which is not happening usually in a fragmented organizational structure. Then that was maybe the most impressive part. People familiar with transformation projects moving to an organizational structure with 11 levels to 6 levels, I let it to judgment the impact of that. And that was, in that moment in time, the first step towards a business process-based organizational structure. Risk management practices, for sure, along the business processes. Job descriptions, attention as a consequence of the process roles designed within the business processes. In other words, a correct job description is nothing else than summing up the roles allocated to a person from different business processes. And this is something which is a game changer. Then for sure, the new integrated management systems, procedures, work instructions whenever needed, and so on. Then again, the business strategy was again to have a pilot project, at the business unit level, then to move to that country, and then to move to all the countries, and so on and so on. That was the objective. Yeah. And thanks God it happened like that. You will see within the next slides and within the movie the situation today. But again, that was the starting point, the pilot project. This is the most important slide in terms of, for finance, this is the most important slide. But dear friends, this is just a consequence just a consequence of what happened. Even the figures are impressive, it's just a consequence. Let me start with the end in mind. The most important part here on the right side is what the external shareholders, the group, what they was looking for, to have the business transformation customized methodology working and in practice, and to have a business model resulting out of that to be replicated. As I mentioned, these were the figures. However, if you see here, we listed the key, let's say, stakeholders: the client, employees, local management, local authorities, voice of authorities, and the shareholder, country, and then group level. If you are looking to the customer one, time to final diagnosis, a 93% decrease in time, 93. Also, you have here on the right part also the corresponding savings. But again, these are consequences. Unplanned water service downtime, 71%. Number of customer complaints, yeah, and so on and so on. Time to repair waterfalls, 86%. So please have a look at these numbers. All of them are data, real data at that moment in time. I'll show you a slide. So that was in 2018. Please keep that in mind. After finalizing the deck, I'll show you the situation 2 years later, 1.5 years later, February 2020. Because of the sustainability, the figures are even better. Then the commitment I mentioned. So 600 employees were directly involved out of 2,000, which was maybe 2,000 something, yeah, around 1,800 indirectly involved, but 600 in the first years directly involved, all levels. Yeah. Again, that was carefully managed for a lot of reasons, including a special situation which happened before the project was started, and actually that situation was one of the triggers to start the project. So that was carefully managed, working together, the people, all levels, and building the deliverables together. Okay. Then the driven business process architecture with all elements. Yeah, you see here the dates where the official documents were released, signed, released, and implemented in the organization. Yeah, stakeholder-driven business process architecture. That's very important. Again, that's the purpose of that was to simply kill the fragmentation, because the fragmentation itself is killing a company, in our view. Then you see the new business process-based performance management. That was 2017. Then the organizational structure, 2016 July. The risk, everything implemented according to the most advanced failure modes and effects analysis and all standards embedded, 2017. Job description 2017. Management system 2017. And then slowly we started to integrate the continuous improvement. The continuous improvement thinking direction, which is what's happening today, the thinking direction is here. Yeah. Basically, it's a management process, starting with executing company's processes, then to have the balance scorecard, then from here to have the project engine, basically ending with selecting improvement projects, then the project portfolio management, executing the projects, coaching and support, necessary training, technology support, and human resources support. For sure, FMEA is here, communication and control. Easy to be said. But now again, some of these, if you want, some of these, let's say, processes are more and more in the same hand. In this case, Cătălin, yeah, in that moment was not the case. Technology support was okay, let me call outside, and it was supposed to have an interface here. Okay, then this is what happened. After the results, the decision was to do it on all the Veolia business units within Romania, and then the extension was to the entire Central and Eastern Europe. Then there are some details here, if you want, some details here about several things which we've done. For example, capturing the voice of stakeholders after identifying the stakeholders and then driving the KPIs from there. Easy to be said, but that's crucial. Public consultation with 1,500 participants. That means with people from Bucharest in this case. Yeah, public consultation about their needs, the situation, and so on. That was difficult to be managed. Then what's here is just showing a little bit that slowly the data-driven management took over the opinion-based management. And gradually we've done so-called the graphical analysis, then the statistical analysis to embed this knowledge in the company, to move, let me call it in this way, to move from Excel management or Excel, I don't know, graphs management, yeah, to move to statistical based management. Okay, with appropriate tools for sure. Yeah, if we have to speak about process capability or about process stability or about products or service stability, or if we have to speak about different hypothesis testing to prove or disprove our assumptions, yeah, or even more, if we are going to run regression analysis or design of experiment for advanced product design and so on, research and development, that needs different type of culture and understanding about data management. Important here during the project, for sure, it was a balance between the so-called experience-based tools, the subjective tools, yeah, the subjective tools, experience-based, trying to capture based on brainstorming different inputs, like I don't know, to document brainstorming in Ishikawa diagrams, to document brainstorming in prioritization matrix, to document brainstorming in 5 whys and so on, the easy stuff. And then, as I said, we slowly moved to the objective tools, data-based, and slowly the game was changed slowly. And by the way, now is in the important information. What's happening today? It was the decision together with Cătălin and our project director. We are rearranging all these database training materials with specific data sets from Veolia, which also is a game changer. Yeah, because now they can recognize even in the training materials their realities. That's what's happening in this moment as a next step in the evolution. This is where we started slowly to scratch the surface for the continuous improvement to run some specific, let's say, methodologies. As an information, we have the full spectrum in our vision, and in the implementation plan, we have the full spectrum of quality and improvement type methodologies. All of them assisted, that, as I said, and integrated, actually, not more assisted, integrated with the technology part. Please read digitalization. So we have the full spectrum from dealing with special causes or non-conformity management. And in this case, we are implementing the AD discipline, which is the most advanced root cause analysis type methodology. again, this is for special causes and non-conformity management. For common causes, any kind of, we are addressing it with Lean Six Sigma deployments. We already finalized the first wave of green belt after doing the awareness for the yellow belt, but in a proper manner. And we will move to the next levels. And for sure, for new service and products, even more difficult apparently, we will move for design for Six Sigma. So all these things are on the table. We are in the middle of them. You see here the beginning, which was 2018, towards the end of 2018, several DMAIC projects, so Lean Six Sigma stuff, even before the first wave was officially implemented. That was during the let's say the redesign project. Yeah, this is one example, data-based, how we are trying to manage this type of project from that moment on. So if this is the existing situation, the before one, then piloting and after in terms of implementing, yeah, please have a look to the variation and moving them in. Again, data-based. Then it was a full change management in terms of communication and dealing with a lot of other problems on the way. As a skeleton was the Kotter model, but adapted to the needs. And that's a very important slide as a summary. So at the competition, one of the requirements was to show innovative application of process improvement tools. And if any, if solutions were developed, innovative ones. And basically, this is actually the poster of the project, showing the business processes in the middle, organizational structure on the left, key performance indicators here, then there is management, how all these things are integrated. The keyword here is what happened was an integrated design of the entire organizational architecture, element by element. And basically, if we have to underline something here, again, we had the chance to push a little bit further the practical part of the business process management, yeah. And we introduced some new notions like standard business process fragments and so on. Again, that should be explained in a lot of details. However, that was answering to a lot of practical questions. Just one example. Then to have the KPIs, the performance management, the balance scorecard, how do you want to call it, to have it at the what level and at the how level, but stakeholders driven is totally different, link also to the objective settings than the fragments driven. Then the organizational structure, needless to say, from 11 levels to 6 levels, that was the biggest battle. You can imagine what, power and so on. Then we started, actually, in that moment was where Cătălin was involved, but only as an IT head. And actually, in-house build, if you want, BPM type solution, extracting automatically from the business process maps the roles and linking them to the organizational structure. So several organizational elements in-house developed. In this moment, we are developing together with now Cătălin being also on the process side in the lead. We are developing a more developed application, taking in account more elements and the management system. Yeah. So in short, the target was to build a self-sharpening, conflict-free, and vertically and horizontally aligned organizational structure. We think certain level we succeeded, and we are continuing to move in the same direction. Again, the project itself was the human capital development part. And speaking about what's happening now, really implementing the continuous improvement, with quality and continuous improvement, with a new paradigm, because we have in place several elements. There is no need within the continuous improvement program, by definition, project by project, to spend so much time on some, let's say, milestones, some activities within each project, like implementing measurement systems and so on, and collecting data. Having the measurement system implemented during the design phase overall is far, far easier. And some of the results, if you want. So, because if you remember the savings, the management decided to use the savings first of all for employees and for customers, new employees offices, new customer, if you want, for the when we are discussing with the customer, receiving them, the customer office, sales office, and so on, new office also for them. Then new technology for the employees, not only offices, yeah. Again, also the front offices for the customers. And if you are checking on the net, also Veolia Panova worked out and rearranged the longest urban fountain in the world. In Bucharest, you can see it on the net. It's something spectacular. So that was what the management decided to do with the part of the money together with Veolia Group. And here you see basically the up here before this is the last one, the World Summit 2019, when we won the first place in the world. But you see the parcours, as I mentioned, carefully designed and executed in Europe, outside Europe, until reaching the first place in the world. So basically, this was the slide deck. And just as I said, by comparison, there is this slide with the same KPIs after about 1 year and 4 or 5 months. Time to final diagnosis, minus 94%. Initially was 80 something. Unclaimed water services, minus 79. And so on and so on. Added sales from other services, more than 150. So these are results 1 year, 4 or 5 months after the initial ones, when it was the big measurement, just to check again and again the sustainability. Again, official figures presented by the management. And let me try to finish this presentation, to finish this part. I hope that even if we are on the net, it will work. This is the official movie of the project. I hope it will work.
Companies are like ships. We couldn't sail the corporate sea without them, and we love them because they are vessels of change for the future of business. But things don't always look clear and bright, do they? Take Apa Nova Bucharest, for example. Before 2016, Apa Nova, a Veolia Romania company, struggled to keep itself afloat. Its employees were running amok like ducks in a thunderstorm, or like managers fleeing a stakeholder meeting. With unclear responsibilities and fragmented business processes, employees were incapable of sailing the flagship and risked crashing it on the corporate seabed. When in 2016 the largest wave hit, people knew it was time for a change. Introducing Veolia Romania's flagship transformation, the re-engineering process. Apa Nova's market engine had been underperforming for more than a decade. Public trust was waning, efficiency was low, and there was no sight of new opportunities.
S-auzea prin computerul tău, sorry. Cristi, trebuie să pornești microfonul.
The sound, we have lost the sound.
Ia,
Now,
se auzea
decisions
pe microfonul tău, Cristi.
viable solutions to the company's problems. The biggest challenge was to make people restart the company by treating it holistically. During the second step of the re-engineering process, a completely new business architecture and organization was laid out from scratch. Risks were cartographed in order to assess the solidity of the new engine for sustainable developments in the future. The old job descriptions were thrown overboard, and the new ones, containing clear process roles derived from re-engineered processes, were assigned to crew members for increased efficiency and performance. We can all guess what happened next. Not only did people achieve the reinvention of Apanova's business engine, but its outstanding performance sent the company sailing full speed ahead. Our business is now on a new course. With continuous improvement in sight, our flagship, as well as our smaller ships, are yet to explore new market horizons and celebrate greater achievements. The fleet is ready, and its performance on the corporate sea is soon to conquer the new world of business. Are you raising sails for the corporate sea of tomorrow? Change course for business process re-engineering.
So I think, Gilles and dear colleagues, this is what Cătălin and myself prepared, just to have an idea about the scale of the project and about the logic line. We try to be even, we had time until 5:02. We try to be ready a little bit earlier, hoping in any kind of question or any kind of dialogue you will like to have. Again, thank you again.
Thank you very much, Cristian. I have opened the mics, I think, for everyone. The numbers allow us maybe for questions directly from the audience, or you can use the chat room if you want to chat your question in. I'm going to prompt you with some questions. One of the characteristic of the transformation that you have led, obviously, is data-driven, rigor-driven, so with a disciplined approach. You obviously made critical choice like involving all employees in the redesign. But how do you take an organization, and we have that in Quebec, quite a few, where it's guts-driven, it's politically driven, it's to make it a data-driven, where people are able, they will value data, they are able to know how to use data. It's like a shift from guts feeling management to rigor management. And I would have thought that this change would be not welcomed or very difficult to make by most employees. Again, challenge me. How have you shifted to that data-driven discipline organization?
Yeah. So, Gilles, first of all, thank you for the question, and let me start with an info. So, I never work in Quebec. However, I work a lot in Toronto and Calgary, and I know quite well also, I would say, let's say the culture around some of the Canadians-based
Yes.
organization. However, I dare to say that everything you said is familiar all over the world. So it's not about a country or a location or a continent or an industry. What you said, unfortunately, are symptoms, no matter the industry, no matter the size of the organization, no matter if it's a state-owned or private-owned and so on. This is point number one. Point number two, to address that, because all these factors you mentioned are present in any organization, however, with different intensities. But all of plus others are present in any kind of organization. So as a consequence, when trying to address them, we should have a full toolbox which should combine in a unique manner for an organization the technical type tools. I will explain that immediately. And let's say, even some people are calling them the soft skills part. Actually, the soft skills are hard skills in reality, or the hardest ones, but should be a specific balance and focus. For example, the most difficult part was the first meeting and the second meeting with the management team from far. Then the second one was even more difficult. And the second one, if you remember in the milestones, was which one is the agreed thinking direction of the project? Thinking direction. From functional departmental thinking to business process thinking. Now, we prepared of the today 25 years, yeah, today is, we are in May. Yes, 25 years ago, we started to build. By the way, you asked me about the PhD thesis. That was exactly the PhD thesis. And over the years, we perfected it, and we added all the necessary elements. In other words, that one first meeting, how to deliver the message, which ones are the questions, technical questions. For example, one of the technical questions, which no matter the culture, no matter the power, no matter the mentality, no matter the different interests, the managers cannot answer it differently. Precisely. Imagine that you are at the flip chart, or you have a nice slide if you want, and showing the fragments and showing the end of the process. The question which cannot be answered differently is the following. For the customer of that process, what matters most? The fragments which we have, the result of each fragment, of the end of the business process result. Even the managers, which they don't like to change, they will never change, and so on and so on and so on, they cannot answer differently to this question. In 25 years, the question being honestly mentioned, honestly asked, always receive the question, the answer, the end of the business process is what matters most. So this is just one example, but there are around maybe 10 fundamental questions, which if the atmosphere in the room is properly built, then raise that question. So basically, we develop over the years specific situations, workshops, questions, and so on, how to carefully build the atmosphere within a room and when to place the right question. This is slowly having a grip on the situation. For sure, in the room also, there is the body language. There are a lot of other things, the necessary jokes or not, yeah, which can be also done online, absolutely no problem. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say, Gilles, in one sentence, or at least this is our experience in 25 years, for any no-go situation or question you can imagine from let's say from a hostile audience, let me call it like that, there is more than one answer, properly crafted, properly designed, and so on. Because we are not discussing something which is without an end. An organizational architecture has crystal clear elements, how they are linked, how we should take them in consideration, how should we design them, how should we then monitor them, and then continuously improve. So there is an answer for any potential, let's say, behavior translated in I don't know which hostile questions.
Good. Kathleen, if I may, I'll turn to you because I'm curious about the CIO. What you have initiated, Veolia. What you have initiated.
This is the logo of Veolia in Apanova.
Excellent.
And that's not beer inside, okay.
No, I don't believe you guys. I know you're drinking beer, so having said that, from a CIO perspective, did you have to go through your own transformation of the IT shop? Or was it like a walk in the park from your side? So what were the big challenge for the CIO and the IT side to be part of that transformation? And what did it mean from your own transformation perspective? Is my question to you.
Yeah, I can assure you it was not a walk in the park for anybody, and that includes us. In the beginning of the project, of course, I had a very different opinion or perspective than Cristian, who was already known the architecture of the entire project and so on. From our side, we were, like anybody else, a little bit on the resistance side, where at the beginning you think there is no problem inside your structure or your way of thinking. And this process is for me is the most important one, to become open-minded, to realize that the problems are existing everywhere in the organization, including your structure or your team, and to begin identify those problems and then explain it to the world and then try to solve it using this new way of thinking. So the most important part, and I wanted to complete Cristian with his answer, is the open mind, because the first mind that were open in our company was the top management mind that accepted the project and realized that their desire to have just one training for Lean Six Sigma was not the idea, and that was not the solution to their problems. So they immediately opened the mind, and then we were included in the project at first with great resistance from many, let's say, direction of the company, and then we open our mind inside and try and build everything to make this transformation. And for IT is no different than any other side of the company, because we had to identify a lot of problems that resides in our department, like late delivering of the software or any other delivery, and then was extremely, let's say, it was a huge step for us to do that, to be sincere and to recognize our problems and then to reach to the solutions. For example, for me, I was included in a yellow belt and then a green belt trajectory, and we also resolve a big problem regarding our late delivery using these tools, and became more and more important those tools and the way of thinking for us.
Excellent. Another question for you. One thing that when I read the book, one thing that I found reframing, to say the least, but quite surprising and very, very, very interesting, is moving into process role-driven job description. This is, I can see the power of that. However, people are used to their job description. You may be unionized, be part of a union.
That's the case also here. Yeah?
It is the case, at least for Apanova Bucharest.
It's the case, yeah.
How do you get people from a job description, traditional job description, I can do that, not do that, and get them engaged, buy in, and get into that process-driven, process role job description? Could you explain a bit more about what it is exactly from an employee point of view?
Yeah.
If I may, Christy, I can start a short answer from me. For me, the most important game changer here is the fact that the people in the team defined the roles and activities, and they described, as they were the only one, they know very well what they are doing. They describe their activities and then the roles and the interactions between the roles. And that's where you get the buy-in from the team, not receiving those activities from top management, let's say.
Okay.
That's my answer. Christine?
Yeah, so Gilles, just imagine doing this exercise. Identify a business process, which is crossing several departments. Easy to be done. Offer process. I don't know. Order to cash. I don't know. Hiring process. You name it. I don't know. Budgeting. Yeah. And then just ask the question to the people involved in that process. That means in a specific workshop, again, carefully crafted, carefully designed. You have in the room the persons running the process. So you have the process team. And then just ask them, if we are reading and putting your job description 1, job description 2, are we aligned? Do we know what we are doing from left to right? Ask them to read their job description parts, and they immediately are going to find out if the architecture was not previously designed based on the stakeholder needs. Then they are going to, they know it, but now they are going to voice it, that yeah, there is a total misalignment between different fragments of different job descriptions along a business process. They cannot say no to that. It's one of the questions I mentioned 10 minutes before. So understanding what we are trying to do, this type of methodology, is going to the DNA of a company and rearranging the DNA for the 21st century. And how to move them mentally, do the exercise which I mentioned.
So that leads us to culture. When you say we change the DNA, there are some people who say that the culture is a result of something you have changed and people readjust their behaviors. And there are other people who will say, no, you can design the new culture and deliver a new culture. What are your thoughts? Is culture something you have be designed, part of the transformation program, and therefore you did engineer the culture you want, that is behaviors, attitudes? Or is it something that you got as a result, as an outcome of everything you have done? You understand my question?
Very well.
Okay.
I don't know if fortunately or unfortunately, but very well. So Gilles, how I see that, and basically the way I see it is embedded in the methodology. So the first thing which should be done, as I mentioned, is to do the unlearning phase. To do the unlearning phase. We are used today to, because one of the key questions coming back to 10 minutes before is, from where your job descriptions are coming from. Just put down this question. From where your job descriptions are coming from. Is similar to the other question. What's most important, the end of the business process or the fragments? Is similar, the same level of okay. So the first bit, with this type of question, the purpose of this type of question, it's slowly to lead to unlearning things which are today governing our organizations and actually are based on a history which maybe 200 years ago it was okay, more than 200 years ago, from the movement from agricultural era to industrial era, to divide and subdivide labor, and then to divide and subdivide management as a consequence of controlling the labor. What I'm trying to say, with this type of questions, with this type of realities agreed in the room, yeah, hard earned within the conversations, then is the unlearning process, then is the learning process while designing the elements together with the people which are supposed to implement them. And to me, organizational culture is going to change during this journey based on this unlearning and learning and implementing process.
Okay.
To me, doing things like that is from far, I would say the only, but let me say from far, yeah, the best way how to deal, not to confront with resistance to change, not to confront it, to deal with it, because resistance to change is normal. We are human beings. However, Gilles, having that said, I'm imagining your audience know better than me, at least, that you cannot go in an organization hoping or dreaming to have 100% of the people there on the side of the honest and good change. That will never happen. This is not the reality. There is always a corner, yeah, where, yeah, and this is linked to the behaviors, to personality profiles, and so on. By the way, what I mentioned until now, and also together with Catherine, was only, let's say, the technical part of the organizational architecture. However, when I mentioned this type of human capital development and so on, so we slowly embedded in the methodology the necessary tools to measure all the psychometric tests and other things to really measure the people side of it and to show and again to show and again to show, to make it visible. So in other words, it was mentioned in the deck, the competing deck. It was mentioned that actually there is an integrated design, but not only on the technical stuff, that means structure, processes, KPIs, job description, and so on and so on. Also on the people side of it, because also it has to be a competency matrix as a result. Another mistake here, which we are finding in organizations. There are companies which spend years in a human resources type project, designing the competency matrix based on job descriptions. That's unmanageable, because the job descriptions, if the company is not for business process designed, contains only fragments in a text format. So the level where a company should, please think to the DNA, is the best is the activity level within each business process role. The activity correctly defined is the level from where you should derive the competency matrix, you should derive the risk management, and a lot of other things. You should derive the requirements for any technology, information technology included. So there is an integrated design which properly explained with the key questions can move the executive teams slowly to start a project like that.
Okay, thank you. We have a few minutes left. I have another, if I may, because of Kathleen, the CIO. What what did you have to change within the IT team? I have two questions, and I'm trying to I can't do that, but I'll try to wear your CIO hat and saying, okay, before I had a assemblage of IT profiles, developers and technical folks and all of that. Did you have to change the profile of your IT teams in big ways to refit the IT with the new organization? You understand my question?
Are you referring to technical profiles or?
Well, I'll give you an example. We had years where it was all about delivering and only about delivering systems and pumping the machine and then supporting the application. Then came the architecture era where it was all about thinking before doing and doing these blueprint and and then we accused these people of dreaming. Then so we went through all of these shifts in IT management. Which one are the most important for you in order to be efficient in the new organization? What is the most critical elements on which you have built IT, the new way of doing IT?
I think the most important thing for me was to change from the slave attitude. It's a hard word, I know, but let's thinking that we accepted anything coming from the business and we just delivered what we understand from it to a business partner, to the business side, and try to design together with them the requests aligned with the processes, with the new processes, which is the most important thing, and aligned with the value that brings out of it, and then build it. So this is the most difficult part, to change from we will do anything you ask regardless the cost, to we will do what is important for the process and for the final client and has value.
Does it mean that I don't know if you have these process owners or these N-1 who are accountable for end-to-end process. Does that mean that they are the one who have the budgets for IT and process, which would be a game changer, rather than the usual department fights who's going to get the IT dollar? Have you changed that?
Luckily, this budget-related thing was resolved a little bit before, as we control the budget for the entire organization related to IT implementations or project, and we are now deciding who is going to get the budget based on the same thing I tell you before, based on the value and the value for business and for the final client, and aligned with the processes.
Okay, so you still manage centrally the IT budget, but you've changed the criteria to get the IT dollar.
Exactly.
Okay, merci. Cristian, I'm sure you want to add something.
Gilles, allow me. So I was laughing when I heard your question. So please note that the project director is the CFO. Irina, who is the project director, is the CFO.
Okay.
And Irina decided a while ago to move the budgeting to the business processes, not to the fragments, which is a game changer.
Yes. Excellent. Merci. Any other comments, Cristian and Kathleen, before we part? That's it.
Good. So from my side, again, thanks a lot to all the colleagues within Veolia Apanova. I think again the project is a living project. So in December 2020, another set of key decisions, I dare to say, also continuing the game-changing situation. For example, the decision was, and we are slowly speaking about the entire situation, to properly move with the design of the organizational structure, attention here, within each business process, which is new in business process management theories.
Indeed. Wow.
Actually, is more than new. We practice research and development many years. We saw it working, and in December, Apanova decided to move also to that. In other words, there are two levels of organizational, two categories of organizational structure, which is from the top stopping to the business process level. In other words, as you said, Gilles, before, where is the business process allocated to a n-1 structure, then stop, and then within each business process, its own organizational structure, attention, no matter if the business process is crossing several n-1 structures, and as a consequence, all the guys from other n-1 structures, which are not in the structure which has the lead for a specific business process, will be part of that business process structure. This is the ultimate game changing in any business process management.
Wow, that's impressive. Bravo. Well, again, we're at that time. Cristian and Catalina, I want to thank you very much. We've registered the webinar. It's going to be available for those who couldn't attend, but I really appreciate having you and telling the story. It's a bit like the Nirvana, at least from my BPM expert side. There are very few cases where we can say they've got it, and I'm sure this was not easy. So thank you again. The DARE book that you did write is very well done from explaining the story. So for those of the listener here or participants who want to better understand what the methodology, what the steps were, and what they did, it's very well done on that side, and it's a good instrument to learn and maybe to master. So thanks again.
Thanks for inviting us.
Appreciate it. And
thank you.
Merci. And I guess it's the evening for you guys. So
yes.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. I'm honored.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Au revoir.